In this video, I'm going to share with you what I think is the most important lesson I've learned in my short 32 years on planet Earth, how it can be incredibly stressful at times, but how it's also improving my life every single day. Hi, my name is Scott, the Miniature Maniac, and normally I paint minis on this channel and talk about it, but I thought I'd do something different today. I, like many of you, have opinions about stuff. Stuff in this case tends to mean things that I care about, which is probably obvious. It makes sense for anyone to develop opinions about areas of interest that they spend time cultivating. For me, that's obviously miniature painting, tabletop gaming, video gaming, movies, and more. Here's an example of one such opinion. I'm not a fan of horror movie villains that are creepy but capable little kids. You might have seen a movie called Mama, a pretty spooky film produced by Guillermo del Toro. The main monster in this movie is a creepy little girl. Another similar movie is Child's Play that features a villain who is a possessed doll. There's something about a child or a doll that undercuts the kind of horror that I want to experience. I spend all my time watching Annabelle just thinking about how I could dropkick this midget to infinity and beyond, and it would be curtains. Back to the main topic at hand, I like to talk about these areas of interest with others, so I seek out like-minded people to share hopefully polite discourse with. Being a part of these types of social circles can further develop your taste, either intentionally because you can learn from others, or unintentionally as you adopt the beliefs of others that you respect. I'm pretty big on cooking, and one such inspirational source for me is Kenji Lopez Alt. I trust his opinion on kitchen gadgetry, cooking methodology, and other various culinary fields to the point where I often don't do my own research and just adopt his opinion on what the best chef knife is or how to cook a hamburger patty. This is a miniature painting channel, I promise. Maybe you're on the other side of the spectrum, however, and you avoid groupthink as much as possible to the point where when something is a shared opinion, you go out of your way to disagree with it. As a fellow hipster, this train of thought is something that I fully understand, the devil's advocate. Nothing can be as perfect and as shiny as raging fanboys and fangirls make it out to be. Something about it has to be problematic, and I will stop at nothing to find it. Looking at you, Space Marines. Although, I am enjoying Space Marines 2 quite a bit at the moment, so maybe they're as awesome as everyone says. Something as equally as awesome as Space Marines is this video's sponsor, Opera. Opera is a browser that improves your web surfing by providing a seamless online experience. They're continuously reimagining what a browser can do, which sounds kind of crazy. What more can a web browser really do? I was exposed to Opera during my time at Geek Squad, and I never paid much attention, but some of these new features are actually really cool. Opera has a built-in AI called Aria that is built directly into the command line, accessible with a simple hotkey. This immediate access gets you fast answers. You can also highlight any text with the Highlight Tooltip feature to further explore that topic with Aria. Opera also lets you pop out online videos so you can continue to watch while chasing that ADHD-fueled hobby idea you got while watching a miniature painting video. If that didn't exist, I know I'd just pause the video and forget that I was watching it for at least 3 hours. With Lucid Mode, you can now enhance online video, which may be particularly useful for miniature painting. I can't speak for all my content creator peers, but I know that fairly often my videos are softly out of focus, so a bit of extra sharpness on your end might help to better see what's going on. Now, I know that some of you freaks out there like to have hundreds of tabs open, and I'll never understand you, but Opera does. With tab islands, you can sort and group your similar tabs, so at least there's some semblance of order to your chaos. Excuse me while I install Opera on my wife's computer. Thank you to Opera for sponsoring this portion of today's video. You can find a link in my description to download the browser today to take advantage of some of these new awesome features. All right, back to painting a pirate and waxing poetic. On the flip side, no one thing deserves as much hate as the internet levies against it. They're probably just overreacting. I kind of felt that way about the new Star Wars TV series, The Acolyte, which led me to try as hard as I could to watch the whole show and give it a real shot. I often have an issue with agreeing with anyone who has a passionate opinion about literally anything, whether positive or negative. I've been thinking a lot lately about why I struggle to be passionate like those people about stuff that I'm actually invested in. I think about how much miniature painting I do and how many years I've been actively invested in the hobby, over 20 at this point, trying to improve my skills and broaden my horizons. You'd think after so much time, certain things would start to solidify and my opinions might become more impassioned. Interestingly, the opposite happens. I become less confident about my decisions concerning everything. The more I learn, the more I realize how little I know. And this is true of literally everything I choose to focus on. This is likely a discovery that a lot of my fellow late 20s and early 30-year-olds are also finding as well. Because of this experience, I actually completely avoid certain areas of research because I know I don't care enough to do the work required to develop a worthwhile opinion. A huge example is politics. I'm completely apolitical because I do not care enough to invest the hours required to commit to research to have an educated opinion. In my head, it feels safe to say that if my perspective on the hobby is constantly growing and changing, even after so many years of research and experience, how could others be this confident in anything they've invested in? Surely they lack the intelligent humility that my gigantic brain is capable of, so I'll just write off the walls of political text they share on their Facebook as ill-informed and unresearched. The journalistic snooping required to validate all of these claims would be much less fun than playing my favorite miniature war game, and also wildly exhausting. Speaking of being exhausted, one other strategy to reduce the amount of thinking I have to do is I unintentionally condemn certain things to my opinion for eternity. If at some point in my life I decided that I wasn't the kind of person that enjoys anime, well, that's just how it's gonna be forever. Listen, I watched DBZ for like 10 minutes as a 12-year-old. I know what the entire genre of anime has in store for me, all right? For me, all of these strategies, leaning on others' opinions, rejecting groupthink, and avoiding topics because I can't commit the man-hours to fully grasp them, are employed with the same intention. It's a default. It's a schema I apply to my everyday interactions so that I can move along in my decision-making faster and spend less time assessing everything that I experience from top to bottom, which would be very tiring. I actually learned about a similar human process in cognitive psychology called chunking, great term, from a book called The Theory of Fun that I read about researching game design. Chunking is the process of taking small details and binding them together into a meaningful whole, and it's sometimes done to reduce cognitive load. When I walk my dogs, I walk around the same neighborhood every single time, and the house on the corner doesn't change much, and it's easy to think of it as the house on the corner, not the windows of the house on the corner or the front door of the house on the corner. In my head, I think I know what it looks like, so I spend zero time closely analyzing it, but whenever I do, I notice something that I hadn't before. Simply knowing about all of these strategies that the human mind employs as it interacts with this massive world was kind of a light bulb moment for me. There's so much going on that's pushing and pulling us in various directions, even our very own self-preservation. And this shapes you, your actions, your speech, what you choose to invest in, your thoughts. Can you even trust you? Are you sure that your opinion of something is based solely on your experience with that thing and not myriad other influencing factors? Just when you thought there was too much in life to trust and worry about, now you can't even trust yourself. Ha ha! Awesome. This is all too much for me. I think I'll just die by the sword because that seems pretty epic. This can feel like a massive burden, but hopefully I can show you how it's changing the way I interact with the greater world beyond for good. When it comes to character design, I typically dislike it when someone takes two things that are popular and mashes them together. A great example of this are fantasy races like Skaven and Lizardmen from Warhammer, or Mon Calamari from Star Wars. It just seems so contrived, and it feels like it lacks real creativity. Lizard Man, a human with lizard features. Incredible. Wow, so creative. How long did it take to think that up? For a long time, I also disliked characters that mash together pirates and undead. Don't get me wrong, I love Pirates of the Caribbean, but the theme of pirates has nothing more to do with undead than a basketball, the theory of relativity, or your aunt's peach cobbler. But then I played Dice Throne. Dice Throne is a great little dice brawler board game where you assume the role of a fantasy character and fight to be the last one remaining. It's a pretty awesome game that I totally recommend. There's a character in Dice Throne called the Cursed Pirate, who after she loses all of her cursed doubloons, turns into a higher damage undead version. After playing many games of Dice Throne, she happens to be my favorite character. Suddenly, some foreign entity flipped a switch in my head that has caused me to suddenly like the combination of undead and pirate. Okay, there's not really a Men in Black style alien in my head, but that's what it feels like. I didn't like this, and now I do, and I can't fully explain why. I don't mean that I'll tolerate playing this character in Dice Throne-like. I mean, I wouldn't mind an entire undead force of salty undead seafarers to play miniature war games with like. I'm a true convert. Then it happened again. I play a card game called Flesh and Blood, and my favorite character is Levia, a small, unassuming little girl who carries a giant meat axe and has a terrible tentacle secret. She's a big bad monster. Super lame, right? Suddenly, I want to paint a display model of this character, like right now. For real. If anyone wants to sculpt this mini for me and they've got the skills to pay the bills, contact me. I will pay for it. Then it happened again with RPGs. Forever, I wrote off RPGs as simply not for me, even after playing in multiple groups. But then I experienced worlds that I really wanted to become a part of and put my stamp on. I discovered how being a dungeon master aligns with my love of being responsible for other people's enjoyment. And suddenly, I'm DMing a Star Wars group and I'm convincing my friend to DM a campaign in the world of Arrakis. I thought I didn't like sport-based miniature war games, and then I experienced Guild Ball, and now it's literally my #1 game. I thought I didn't like single-player video games, and then I played Hades and Doom Eternal and got the same satisfaction out of them that I do online PvP games. I thought I didn't like Blade Runner 2049, and then I gave it another watch, and I loved it. I could do this forever. What is happening? I thought I knew myself. I thought I could trust my very own opinion, but seemingly trivial experiences are causing me to completely reevaluate things that I've made my mind up on for sometimes years. Because of these experiences, I enjoy more. I like more, and that's amazing. If my life can be enriched by more, shouldn't I want that? Shouldn't everyone want that? I can't tell you what you should or should not want, but personally, I am now on a crusade to enjoy more of what this world has to offer. It's kind of like trying on a hat. I'm not the kind of person to wear a bucket hat or roll a wizard if I'm firing up a new character in Diablo 3, but what does it feel like to be the kind of person who wants to do those things? What is there to enjoy about playing a wizard? I'm not sure, but a lot of people enjoy it, and I'm curious to find out if I can discover that enjoyment. Anime is a beloved genre of entertainment with millions of fans that all enjoy the media for different reasons. Surely one of those reasons could align with me. I want to play more Age of Sigmar to appreciate what that game has to offer. Not does that rule set align with what I want out of gaming, but what does that game bring to the table that is unique to it and that others appreciate? I want to eat tofu in all of its various forms so I can enjoy more options when I visit a restaurant, and I hope you do too. Unless you're allergic to tofu, then maybe just avoid it. I don't put anything into the bucket of like and dislike anymore. A better description would be things that I like and things that are on the wait list. Waiting for the right experience, the right perspective, the right education to flip a switch in my brain so I can start liking it too. The most important lesson I've learned in my 32 years on this earth is to be open to life. I should share my opinion less, listen more, give second chances, and go slowly. Enjoying something ultimately is a choice. Everything has value. You just have to find it.